Thank you very much. Proud to be joining you today in resisting Tory savage austerity. Proud to be leading a movement that is fighting for an alternative, and proud to be part of this historic People's Assembly. I have to say it is fantastic to see so many people here today united in one movement. And I want to do a little bit of an experiment just to get me off on the right foot. If you're this is all about solidarity. So if you're a teacher and you're able to, could you please stand up now? If you can't stand up, wave your hands. And if you're a parent and you've got kids at school, can you please join them? Stay standing, can you please join them? And if you work for our fantastic NHS, can you please stand up? If you can, otherwise wave your hands. And if you depend on our NHS, can you please, everybody, stand up? Now I want you to link arms now. Link arms. Can you link arms with each other, with the person next to you? Link arms, because I tell you, that is what solidarity feels like, and that's how we stay strong. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, I couldn't help but notice, we may have 4,000 people here, but there's one person who isn't here, and that's George Osborne. George, otherwise known as Gideon, or as President Obama called him, Jeffrey. As in Jeffrey Osborne, the soul singer. I reckon George must have made a really big impact on the president. But what a shame that the Chancellor turned down the real Jeffrey Osborne's invitation to do a duet. Frankly, I don't care if he can't sing. I was hoping he'd find himself a new career. And one thing's for sure, he'd make a better soul singer than he is a Chancellor. Look what he's done with our economy. Since he's been in charge, virtually zero growth. 1 million young people unemployed. Millions more struggling to make ends meet. And look what the Tories are doing to our communities. Closing down libraries, swimming pools, Sure Start centres. High streets turned over to food banks and charity shops. And it should be no surprise that they're picking on the poorest and the most vulnerable. Capping benefits, blaming migrants, closing refuges for women fleeing domestic violence. Of course they're out to wreck our services. That is the Bullingdon way. Let's make no mistake, and I want to make it clear, they are waging class war on ordinary working people. But I also want to make it clear, just as Owen said, enough is enough. We'll fight as hard for our people as they fight for theirs. And if they hurt what's ours, then they can be sure we will retaliate. It's time to fight back against this government of privately educated multi-millionaires. Time to stand up to the vested interests of the banks, the corporations, and the super rich. And it is time to mobilise our workplaces, our communities, and yes, on the streets too. The People's Assembly is all about taking this campaign against austerity onto a whole new level, bringing together the anti-cuts movement, showing pride in our broad coalition, making sure we have the biggest possible impact. And the TUC and unions, as the voice of 6 million working people, the largest democratic membership organisation in this country, we want to work with anyone and everyone who shares our aims. Because be in no doubt, workers, students, pensioners, community groups, we are truly all in this together. Now, next Thursday, the NASUWT, the MUT and PCS will be taking coordinated industrial action in education and the civil service. And I know that you will join me in sending those workers a message. You can count on our support and solidarity 100%. And as long as I'm General Secretary, wherever unions and workers vote for it, wherever they vote for strike action, the TUC will back them all the way. Because austerity is failing. It's failing ordinary people and it's failing Britain too. It's destroying growth, it's devastating living standards, and it's holding back recovery. Britain's economy is still 3% smaller than it was before the crash. Wages for ordinary workers are worse in real terms than they were a decade ago. And the really stupid thing is that cutting the public sector is damaging the private sector too, choking demand out of the economy, failing to invest in our infrastructure, decent businesses and jobs going to the wall. And what really sticks in the throat of any decent person is that those who did least to cause the financial crash are paying the highest price. And I say this to the politicians, please don't patronise us by saying that the country has run out of money. We know that Britain will now have to borrow more than 200 billion extra than planned. We know that big business is sitting on a cash pile equivalent to half our entire GDP, and that the bankers' noses are back in the bonus trough. We know that every year big corporations and wealthy individuals are dodging taxes to the tune of £120 billion. So if we need to find money for services and investment for growth, I'll tell you where we get the money from. Instead of benefit cuts that hurt the poor, let's have fair taxes the rich can't dodge. Instead of subsidising slum landlords, let's build the council homes that Britain needs. Instead of a bedroom tax for tenants, let's have a mansion tax for millionaires. And instead of subsidising skinflint employers, let's have the right not just to a minimum wage, not even to a living wage, but to a fair wage for workers. And while we were about it, I'll tell you how else we can save a few bob. Stop selling off the family silver to private profiteers. Hands off Royal Mail, hands off the NHS, and bring back the railways into public control. On May Day, the TUC launched our new campaign plan. Every single one of our union leaders has signed it, but I want everybody here to sign up to it too. We're campaigning for a new economy that delivers decent jobs and greener growth. We're campaigning for a universal welfare system and public services fit for the 21st century. A decent care system for children and the elderly, and decent treatment for carers too. And we're campaigning to win workers a fair share of the wealth that we produce, fair wages and living standards for all. We need a different kind of economy and a different kind of country too. A more equal, more democratic Britain. Too much economic power in the hands of too few got us into this mess. Giving workers a strong voice can get us out of it. And the only way we'll get back is if we build strong unions. Every worker a member, every member an activist. And if you agree with our campaign, if you identify with the aims, then join us. I want to finish by saying this. I'm an organiser. I believe in the power of organisation. There's an old trade union saying, educate, agitate, organise. And we are right, just as Owen said, we are right to be angry, but anger is not enough. We have to give people hope and confidence that there is a better way. We have to stand together, we have to stay united, but above all, we have to get out of this hall at the end of the day, and we have to go back to our workplaces and our communities, and we have to organise. Then together, as that great trade union leader Jack Jones once said, we will move mountains. So stay strong, stay solid. Together, we will win. Thank you.